podcast for your soul, your compass, your journey, your light. Welcome to Podcast for Your Soul. This is your host, Nico Balschuweit. And this podcast is for light workers who like to get inspired by listening to spiritual teachers from around the world. And I'm honored that today's guest is Nicola Farmer. And Nicola is a universal spiritual consultant. She's a psyche, a medium, a healer, and she has several modalities of teaching. One is to awaken the Illuminated Heart, where she became a teacher of Drunvalo Melchizedek. But she also works with children, which is an amazing work, and we'll talk about this during the podcast. So, Nicola, I feel blessed to have you on my show. Welcome.
Well, you're very welcome, and it's an honor to be sharing this time with you, Nico. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and I had the honor also that you worked with me before somewhere in the mountains in Switzerland, which was a profound experience. And really, when I see the way to describe you really as a universal spiritual consultant, I think you do so many different things, and this is just to your gift. And I think you are on a mission to just help to humanity on the process of awakening.
Yeah, it's very precious right now.
Yes, absolutely. And that's also one of my visions why I do this podcast, is just really to connect spiritual people from around the world. And the essence is always the same. It's just really helping people on the process of awakening. And we need that desperately for Mother Earth, for humanity. And therefore, I'm excited about all you do.
It is very important, Nico, that there are a lot of us doing this work from whatever perspective, because it would be delusional if people thought that we could reach everybody by ourselves. And regardless of what level of understanding we have, there'll always be a student and a teacher that resonate with each other.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I like also when we connect with spiritual people. There is no competition. Yeah, it's like it's a collaboration from the level of the heart, and it's just really a sharing, and it's just the same tribe, if you will, and that's beautiful.
It's very important.
Yeah. So one of the most profound experience I had with you was the awakening the Illuminated Heart, which is the work on the Merkaba, but also the tiny heart, which was for me a breakthrough. Would you like to explain a little bit about this work which you're doing?
I'd love to, Nico. Awakening the Illuminated Heart is the creation of Drunvalo Melchizedek. He's based in Sedona in Arizona. And the work itself is very profound because it enables people to find within themselves the art of creation. It enables them to activate their Merkaba light body, which for many has been merely a seed for a very long time. It gives them the opportunity to explore within themselves, because instead of searching outside of yourself for answers, for searching outside of yourself for resolutions, etc., they are actually all within you. And Awakening the Illuminated Heart is a workshop that is a process of discovery, of healing, of ascension. So taking people through these 4 days is very profound, because we move from the mind to the heart in such a way that one of the greatest observations that I have is that at the beginning of the workshop there are so many questions, which indicates people are in their minds. And most of the time, by the end of the workshop, there are no questions. And for me, that is a great part of the workshop, because I know that the people are now journeying into their hearts. And within the heart, the physical heart, there are two very sacred spaces, and one's called the sacred space and one's called the tiny space. And actually, they're in correlation to the harmonics of the universe, to nature, to sound, to everything. And in that space, there is a vibration and they're actually an octave apart. So the sound of the sacred space and the sound of the tiny space are literally one octave apart, as in nature, etc. So journeying into the sacred space, where in fact you can access your Akashic records, and then journeying on into the tiny space, which is within the sacred space, is a journey actually into the entire universe. When you arrive there, considering you're in a very tiny physical space within your heart, the expansion and the vast area that you experience when you get there, it's beyond words, completely beyond words. But when you get there, you are connected to everything that is possibly available to you. So it is a journey of the heart. It is a journey of discovery and remembering. But most of all, it's vital steps for, in one way or another, to ascension.
Yeah, when I did the workshop with you, I had also this experience initially that was like profound information on the Merkaba, and it was really a journey, and I'm more like a practical person. So I was listening and we did the process, but then you guided us through the sacred heart and the tiny heart. And then I had an experience where it just all of a sudden was, and then, so I had the honor to experience the work with the Akashic records from a different dimension through prayer. But here it was then, I was literally in the universe, and just to see that and to really feel that's inside of you.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was just the same for Petra and myself, a profound experience, which I can recommend to anyone to go through this 4 days, which is just really a journey, as you said, into your own heart. And it's a journey of bliss and expansion. And that's also, for me, that was so puzzling, because there was the one part where I felt really tiny, small in the universe. At the same time, I felt myself expanding. But it just all happened almost from 1 second to the other. And when I slipped into the heart, it just poof. Yeah.
Well, there is no time in space. So that journey is timeless. But it is instant as well. It puts a whole perspective on what Hermes said: as above, so below; as within, so without. And that is exactly in direct connection to going into the sacred space, the tiny space, but also it combines Metatron's cube. So the connection, the oneness of this journey, and consciousness and humanity and nature and harmonics, it is profound.
Yeah. And it's also amazing once you have this awareness that you know what you can do with your, let's say, divine attention or desire, just really to utilize something like the Merkaba for your own healing journey processes, whatever it is. And it's just also really amazing.
Well, once the Merkaba is activated, which is on the final day of the course, what people will have learned, as you know, is how to create from the heart instead of the mind. So in the mind, we create in duality, and in the heart, we create in unity. So having an active Merkaba and knowing how to create from the heart, you're creating in oneness without duality. And enabling that to happen, you get whatever is necessary for your highest good, what your heart desires, or what creation desires for you.
Yes, and it does work. Yeah, and it opens a different dimension to access the heart, and then it's just almost like it's just to to put an impulse into the universe or to have a preference. It's not something you need to have from the ego or whatever. It's just it resonates, you feel it, and then you plant a seed, and then amazing things happen from there.
Absolutely. And one very interesting point about that is, although we can't live without the ego, when you journey into the tiny space of your heart and you master staying there, the ego can have no control anymore. So the ego reverts back to its original role as your survival instinct, instead of the role it's assumed with many people of control, creating fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, all of the negative emotions. But in the tiny space, it can't come with you. So when you master after the course, staying in the tiny space and becoming the tiny space, then your ego reverts to its role as your survival instinct, which is actually equally as precious as all of the other aspects of Awake Your Illuminated Heart.
Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Then there is some other fascinating work where you work with children, and you basically teach children at a very young age to unfold their spiritual gifts and potential. And I never heard about that apart from you. Can you share this with the listeners? What is this? What you're also referring, I think, to ICU, what it stands for, and what the work is all about?
Of course, I'd love to. So ICU is a concept that is not new to the world. There's various other methods around the world in China and Russia, in Mexico, and India. But the ICU program was channeled to me a few years ago now, about 3 years ago. And it's based upon enabling children to connect with their innate, their perfect gifts that they have, and be able to carry them forward through life. But you see, one of the key aspects of ICU is that the children can read, play, do their schoolwork, function without the use of their physical eyes, because when we teach them, they're completely blindfolded. Now, taking away the physical eyes opens them up to a lot more of their gifts than perhaps they would if they were looking through the physical eyes, which create illusions. But the precious part of ICU is that the children can grow, and they can grow beyond, well, all expectations, although we shouldn't have any of them. We've seen some profound experiences with it, and we've had children leap in their education. We've seen traumas heal. We've seen them come to life. We've seen them grow exponentially. It has been a journey of faith and discovery, taking the children on this journey. ICU stands for Inspiring Children Universally. And that name came to me, interestingly, while I was having lunch with my husband in a restaurant. You never know when consciousness are going to channel and give you things that are really important. So, hence why I carry a notebook with me everywhere. But so the concept began, and then I was asked to train teachers, which I have started to do. And I've been very lucky to take this work to different countries around this beautiful world of ours. I believe that we're on the edge of this work becoming explosive, to a point where the demand is going to be quite amazing. I'm actually going to speak at a big conference in Italy in July, which is done by an organization called SAND, which is Science and Non-Duality. There's a lot of people there, and so I really feel that it's about to really explode's probably the wrong word, but expand to a point where it becomes a topic of conversation for people.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel also that as a humanity, it appears we reach like a critical mass where there is so many people with a call it spiritual awareness or awakening, but we don't act enough. Yeah, and we need to network more, connect more, and be more visible, and also do what your heart's calling is. And that's also one of the vision of this podcast, just to inspire people that they can follow their calling. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's beautiful that you can speak at such a conference, and that has then a ripple effect. Yeah, and it helps people. Yeah. So I also have still, of course, I have this blindfold, which I learned from it. Just this simple tool was so incredible helpful to me because I'm clear sentient. I get so much input. So I feel, I see, and just closing the eyes doesn't do it because there's still light. Yeah, and what these blindfolds are doing, so basically I don't see anything, and then it makes it easier to connect with myself, with my heart, and so thank you only for sharing this. Yeah, so I still use it on a daily basis. So I also saw videos where you put it on the children, and the children doesn't see anything. They open a book and they literally can read the book.
Well, yeah, because you see, when we begin teaching the children, we open them up to universal consciousness. Now, it's not that they're not connected to universal consciousness. It's just that the development of a child in certain ways conditions them to be more left-brained than right-brained. So we open them up to universal consciousness, but we take the vision away through the physical eyes. Now, once this child is connected to universal consciousness, what we're actually doing is shifting from the left brain to the right brain. But in doing so, we are then connecting them to their own consciousness, their spirit, their soul, their higher self, whatever you want to call it. And then they start to see through a completely different concept. The very interesting thing that we've discovered is that most children, when they start to see through the blindfold, and it can take a minute, 10 minutes, or 10 weeks, okay? But when they do start to see, a lot of them, their eyes begin to water or their eyes itch. They want to scratch their eyes. And I was very fortunate 2 years ago to meet with a guy from America who was an ophthalmologist. And he was explaining to me that when the eyes are taken out, when the eyes are blindfolded, but the brain is receiving information of what the child is seeing, the eyes and the brain need to have this connection. So the brain sends like an arcing electrical impulse to the eyes to make them work. Of course, they're closed, they're blindfolded, but the brain is still receiving information from another source. So the electrical impulse that's sent to the eyes to stimulate them is called an arc, and that's what makes them water or itch. So when the child's brain is adjusted to seeing through another concept, then that generally settles down. It doesn't with all children, but it generally settles down. So the information being fed to the brain for processing from the spirit, the soul, the consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is a whole new realignment for the brain to adjust to.
So it's fascinating. So what is it then? What is seeing? Is it like the third eye, or is it the sense, or is it the soul? What is physically can perform the reading?
In the simplest terms, they're reading with their higher consciousness via their spirit.
Well, I get chills. I guess. Phew. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
As you're taught in the Awakened Illuminated Heart workshop, when you blindfold the person, it temporarily shuts down the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is actually the third eye. So if we're blindfolding the children and doing exactly the same with them by closing down their pineal gland, it's not the third eye that's seeing.
Oh, okay. That's. Thank you for clarifying. I think that lands, and it resonates with me. I don't understand it yet, but it totally resonates. It's just something in me goes, yes, 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 which is beautiful. Yeah.
And the other thing that is very interesting is when the children start to read and see colours, and we ask them to point to the colour or point to the word, 9 times out of 10, when they first start, their finger is maybe 2 or 3, 4 centimetres away from the colour or the word. And that's because they have to then recalibrate or realign their coordination. Because if they're focusing from the eyes, the word is straight in front of them, you'd point straight to it. But if the consciousness or the spirit of the child is kind of looking from here, from the side of them, then the coordination for the brain and the finger need to be recalibrated. And that happens eventually.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I just had a couple of times I went through like a theater for blind people, right? Or like a museum, not a theater, a museum for blind people. And I went there with Petra, and literally you don't see anything, and there are blind people guiding you, but obviously with their instruments and everything. And it's huge, and you walk around, but then when I came close to Petra, I always could hug her immediately. And she said, "But how did you know it was me?" And I smelled you.
Yes.
Yeah. And before, I didn't know that I can be so clear about the smell of my wife and differentiate her between other smells. And there were many, many guests there, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying, wow, I should use this more. Yeah, because I'm not aware of it because I use my eyes all the time. Yeah. So this was just, in a playful way, a gift just to spend an evening without the eyes, where also we had to touch everything and explain stuff. And that was already very helpful, and uplifting.
What you're actually doing is you're working with the essence. So I use the word essence as in combining all of the senses. So when I communicate with discarnate beings, whether it be spirit, guides, angels, I'm not using a telepathic link in as much that I'm here and there over there. I become the blend and the essence of the spirit or the angel or the guide in order to become the unity of them rather than the duality. So when you sensed Petra, you were using the essence of the blend that brings you both together.
Yes.
And on the subject of blind people, I really do believe that ICU can help children that have perhaps gone blind, become blind, or visually impaired, to help them see with their higher consciousness. Right now, I'm not so sure we could work with children who were born this way because they have no concept of colour, shapes, words, letters, etc., or images. But that doesn't mean we won't be able to do that in the future, because we can tap into their past lives to help them remember what those things are and utilise them in the training. Right now, if we have children who have lost their eyesight, then there's no reason why we can't work with them to try and get them to see with their higher consciousness and to return some form of vision to them.
Beautiful. Yeah. So, and you only do this with children, or do you also practice with adults? And is it more difficult for an adult to learn this?
We decided as the ICU Academy to only work with children. I'm not saying that there won't be a process for adults in the future, but actually the children are the future right now. So it was important to access the children between the ages of 5 and 12 before their left brain becomes very powerful or active even, so that we can keep them in a unified state going forward. Now, to teach an adult is difficult because most adults have very strong left brains, which is the logical, the analytical. And when I say to the child, I'm going to place this blindfold on your face, they don't ask me why. They just do it.
Yeah.
Now, if I have an adult and I say, I'm going to place this blindfold on your face, they're going to ask me 100 questions. Why this particular blindfold? Why do I have to close my eyes? Why am I wearing this? What are you going to do? So that's the energetic block to start with. Having said that, when I train teachers to work with children, the teachers have to go through the process themselves to have at least a little understanding of what the children are experiencing. And during the classes that I've taught with adults to become teachers, some of them have experienced vision. So it's not impossible to work with an adult. It's just the policy right now not to. And the other reason, and it's a very important reason, if I was to train an adult in this process, and let's just say they have a bit of a wild ego, and they think that they can go and teach their own children, what they haven't learnt is the process of holding a space for the child. They don't understand the responsibility that they're taking on for that child from session 1 to session 12. They don't have the teaching abilities in how to handle child if there's a problem, if there's an energetic problem, if there's an emotional problem. So the teacher training covers a lot of this. So if I was to train an adult and their little ego decides that they can go and teach this to their children, it leaves the children vulnerable.
Yeah, I can sense that they're in such a vulnerable position when they have to rely on just their senses. Wow.
Yeah.
So let's say if there are parents listening now and they are interested to connect with you, or maybe want this to initiate with their children, where can they do it? How can they do it currently?
Well, they can visit the ICU Academy website, which is icuacademy.co.uk. They can access information there. There's various contacts on there because we're starting to build a database of teachers around the world. There aren't very many qualified teachers just now because the qualification process takes a long while. But there's a lot of teachers currently in training. So they can access that through the website. There's more information on there, including contact details for myself. But if they are wanting their children to be taught and they have a passion and a desire within them for their children to experience this beautiful work, then it may well be that their calling is to become a teacher.
Yeah, I think it just goes by resonance. Yeah, and therefore I'm saying this because many people listen to this podcast, and I'm sure there will be some who say, "Wow, yes." And I guess there are many, I would say, like gifted children, where you see there is just an old soul, or there is some wisdom around them, or they're so empathic, yeah, and then maybe they just want to explore that further with you or one of your teachers.
Yes.
Yeah.
The exciting thing about the children is going forward, right now we don't have answers as to how these children are going to be as adults. The only indication we have is a 15-year-old who was my very first child that I taught, who is creating quite a stir in his school because one of his passions is IT, working with computers. But he's actually very good at programming and building computers. And his IT tutor is excited because normally it's one or the other.
It's both sides of the brain, yeah.
Absolutely. So the interesting thing is, okay, we would like to attribute it to him having done the program with us. We don't know if he would have been able to do this without the program. But, let's put it down to his soul, the ICU program, and various other things, but it's quite amazing. And just one more thing on the children. I've received guidance that in 2020, a whole new breed of children will be born onto Earth who have never been here before. They're bringing this incredible vibration to the Earth to help raise the vibration. They are very, very intelligent, very advanced souls, but they have never touched the Earth before. And the visions I had 2 years ago are these huge incubation pods. That's the only way I can describe them, suspended around the Earth, where these souls were incubating, ready to come to Earth. And I'm told that they're ready to come in 2020. So I also feel that we've been paving the way with ICU in order to assist these children when they reach the age of 5. So in about 2025, the ICU will be ready for them too.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think there was specifically over the last 30 years, there were like children where we said there's indigo children and we have crystal children, and there's children with a different awareness. They bring different quality, different vibrational level and different frequency to their environment, to the other people, to their families. And yeah, I can imagine that will continue. And it sounds exciting that there is a new form of human arriving. Yeah.
I don't like labels, but I glow children.
Sorry, say it again.
I said I don't like labels, but I've called them the glow children.
The glow. Oh, I like that. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And so I think there is also a video out in YouTube where you can see really where a child is reading with a blindfold or doing things, right?
Yeah, there's a link to the video on the ICU website.
Okay. Yeah, so I make sure for every listener, I will publish all the links below in the podcast and iTunes and also on YouTube so that we can access that. And I'm also now, I saw it some time ago, but now I want to go again because now I see it with a different understanding. Yeah. Specifically when you said that they're basically reading from a higher consciousness, because initially I thought it's like the third eye, but you're right. If the pineal gland is closed, then that's a different one. That's exciting.
It was mentioned in the video, but that was made several years, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe. But I intend to make a new one soon, which will be lovely.
Beautiful. Okay. So, Nicola, based on your experience and your journey, what kind of advice would you give to a spiritual seeker for their own development? What's essential for you?
Well, that's $1 million question, Nico. The essentials are to remain heart-centered, to not search, but allow opportunities to come your way, to remain in divine flow. A lot of people regularly see the numbers 111. And as so many people say to me, what does this number mean? What do these numbers mean? And 111 is all about being in divine flow. Now, if you're new and embarking upon a journey of discovery to enhance your life, to heal, to have a greater understanding of consciousness, of gifts amongst humans. Patience is one important thing, but allowing yourself to be in this divine flow is really important. There are many, many teachers out there, and they are all doing a fantastic job. It's good to find a teacher that resonates with you. But just as you can choose a teacher, remember that teachers can choose their students as well. And that if you've got this beautiful connection, this bond, this blend with you and a teacher, then that can take you a long way. All teachers have knowledge. They come from a place of wisdom. Some will be more advanced with their knowledge and wisdom than others. But I really believe, Nico, that people will find the right person for them. Now, through, many years, people have spoken about the awakening. The awakening that is, in my understanding, in my opinion, where people start to wake up and realize there's more to life than work and materialism and all of the human emotions and concepts of life, that there's something greater out there for them. Now, I was guided to share, I think it was last year, the beginning of last year, that we'd reached a quantum mass of awakened human beings. Now, that didn't mean everybody. It meant the quantum mass being the specific number. And I sat back and took a deep breath and said, thank the Lord, because it's been really hard work till now. And the guidance said, well, actually, now the hard work starts. And I said, and how so? And they said, because they may be awake, but now they need to become aware. And the awareness process is where you're at when you have discovered there's more to life. You've awakened, you've come into this level of consciousness where materialism doesn't do it for you anymore. Now the awareness, I asked for guidance and I said, well, what do you consider awareness to be? Where do humans need to be aware? And guidance shared with me that there's 3 factors to being aware. And these are observing, listening, and intuiting simultaneously on all levels of your consciousness. And my response to that is, wow, now the hard work really does start. Some people are good at listening, and some people are good at observing, and some people are craving to be able to use their psychic abilities or their intuition. So the fundamental basic of this is that whether you're good at listening or observing, you need to be good at both of them. And when you can do both of them simultaneously without using tunnel vision or selective hearing, then the intuition automatically activates. So awareness and observation are the key factors to start with. Then you start to elevate into what we call a higher level of consciousness. Your intuition, your gut feeling becomes strong. You don't ignore it anymore. You begin to work with it daily. In every aspect of your life, it's not separate from you, it's integrated, it's every part of the cells of your body and the particles of your light body. And when you're working with all 3 simultaneously, on every level of your consciousness, that's what awareness is. Setting out, it's a long journey. It can be fast, it can be slow, but it needs to be at the pace that is right for you. And if you embark upon the journey, then you need to be passionate, dedicated, and committed to bringing this into yourself and bringing out every single beautiful gift that you have about your being.
Wow, thank you for sharing. That's really profound. Yeah. And I think you mentioned something before which really struck me when you said the responsibility of the teacher for the children is that one capacity you need to have is to hold space while they are in their process of learning. Yeah, and now it sounds almost like that the seeker, the person, let's say, who is awake, they need to hold space for themselves to grow in that process, in just really listening, observing, and then allow the intuition to emerge, and then again observe that and holding space for themselves during the whole process, and then it goes like automatically, and then the next step, the next guidance is shown.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you're not holding that space every minute of every day, then you're going to be dipping in and out of the understanding of the being, because whether you call it spirituality or consciousness or universal life force energy, whatever you want to call it, it's not something that you do part-time. It's integral to breathing, to your heart beating. It's you don't just go to a class and you come away and think, well, when I go back in a week or 2 weeks, I'll dip in again. Spirituality, consciousness, whatever it is, it's every part of your being, as natural as breathing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it's just taking another breath all the time, yeah, which makes you more aware. And I think that's also underestimated. People say, wow, yeah, you are so gifted, yeah. But people don't see how many years you prepared yourself in terms of meditation, in terms of connecting with the right people, in terms of learning, in terms of exploring, in terms of trusting your intuition. Yeah, and just really making decisions from the heart, where the mind says you can't do that, but the heart just knows. Yeah, and then you do it, and it's like you take inspired action from a different source. It's just like training a muscle, and you really have to do this on a regular basis. And, yeah, what I believe is also essential, that people connect to other people who are awake. Because together, also with teachers like you, when we did the awakening training with you, it just appears there's all of a sudden on the third day and fourth day, there is a soul resonance. There is a different frequency in the room for everyone, and everyone can then tap into that more easily because everyone else is doing that. And I like it also to have more days to be taken out from the day-to-day routines and stuff like this, to just really be in a different dimension, if you will.
Yeah, it's surrounding yourself with the people that you resonate with. It's being in that space yourself where everything is at your fingertips. When you're vibrating the frequency of your heart, it is so important that you find your tribe, your community, and you go with the flow of this. Nico, people say to me, I want to be like you. And I have a little chuckle inside, because
they have no clue.
But then I say to them, okay, this is how I got to where I am. I have shed blood, sweat, and tears. Okay? I have gone through multiple levels of healing. There's a very old-fashioned saying, healer, heal thyself. Okay? And I have dedicated time, money, that comes into it, unfortunately. Passion, so many aspects of myself I've had to expose and become vulnerable to. I've had to deal with criticism, rejection, all those things. But you know what? In my life, I knew what my focus was. And I say to people, are you prepared to apply all of those things to yourself? And some don't even ask me the question, but they know that's what they have to do. And when I say that to some people, they say, I don't think I've got it in me. Of course they do, but what they're saying is too much hard work.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to every single person in my life who has assisted me on my journey, and some of those people have helped me immensely, and some people have not helped me, and they've tried to create challenges in my life. But a challenge is there to overcome and to grow from. So the gratitude I have for everybody who's been a part of my life through this development, through this journey in my life, I love them. I thank them with all my heart. And gratitude is one of the best things you can have. You know, and I say that with my heart, because It's been incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I went also to so many different stages in my life where I felt then, oh, I did completely the wrong thing. And now I understand, no, there is no wrong thing. I mean, this was the best teaching in my life because I knew what I don't want. And that these are great teachers as well. And then you arrive to a point where you say, well, this was just a blessed journey, no matter how hard it was, but it made me the person which I am today. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wonderful. So you're also like a member of a portal which is called the Transformation Portal. Would you like to share a little bit about the idea behind this?
I'd love to. So again, guidance said to me, it would be an amazing opportunity for people to have a community of heart-centered therapists, teachers, healers, etc., where they could go find someone that resonates with them. So the concept started to come together, and I've got a really great web guy who helps me with my websites. And I said to him, this is the concept I have. I want a website where we have people's pictures and a name underneath. And there's to be no hierarchy, no competition, a community-based portal for people to come find what they're looking for. So when you go onto the website, it's called the transformationportal.com. The pictures appear on the home page, and you can click on a picture, and then it gives a biography and various other information, including what the person has to offer on their page. But the really cool thing is when you go back into the website, the pictures change position. So there's nobody at the beginning and nobody at the end.
Oh, I love it.
They appear randomly on the homepage. So that we're creating unity and equality between people. There may be 5 or 6 people that do Reiki, or 5 or 6 mediums that do readings. But it's a bit like a deck of oracle cards. You look at the picture and you choose which one resonates with you, and then you go into their picture to see what they can do for you. And that was the concept behind the portal. And it was being built and tweaked, and there's still a few things that we're going to do with it. But it was launched on the 3rd of March because it was a 333 day. The 3rd of March 2019 in numerology was 333. And 333 is about transformation and opening portals. So we launched it on that day, and anybody who feels heart-centered and wants to be part of it are more than welcome. It's a very easy website to manage. People will manage their own page. But I have this vision of it being big.
Wow. That's another invitation to listeners out there, and that was by no means planned. So this is just, I like that synchronicity, and that because I didn't know that other people just can come on to that page as well. So if you're out there and you have this calling and you want to join that transformational portal, then I will put the link also below the podcast and the YouTube video. Then reach out to Nicola, and she can assist you with going further. Yeah, what I like also when you said there's no ranks and no titles. Yeah, this goes so in line. I mean, I'm working like over 30 years in the business environment, in management, and I believe also that the old structure, hierarchical structure, cannot survive anymore. And now we try to find more ways to be more agile, to have small teams like Penters or 5 people or maximum 8, but without ranks, without titles, so that everyone can bring out their best and to share their creativity. And I think that's something which is needed in the future. And for you to be such a role model in the spiritual arena for that, I just really love it. And I didn't know that, so because I didn't know exactly how it worked. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure you will get many requests for people who like to join the tribe, which I think it's so important nowadays.
At the moment, it's been set up for the UK, but all we need to do is put a part of the search engine for worldwide as well, which is, practically a click of a button.
Yeah.
So, and the world is so small now. So you're in Germany, I'm here in the UK.
Yeah.
We're having this amazing connection conversation. There's nothing stopping anybody connecting in the same way.
Yes.
Through telephone, through internet. The world's so small now. So it doesn't matter what country we live in, what part of the world, we can connect by any means.
Yeah.
One day we won't need technology. We'll all be telepathic.
Yes. Absolutely. And then the connection will be even stronger.
Yes.
So, yeah. Beautiful. So you have the ICU website, you have the transformational portal, and there is the Ascending Wisdom site. Would you like to explain what's this about? I think there's an academy and another version.
Yeah, I'm busy, aren't I?
Yes, you are. You are indeed.
Yeah. I need a secretary soon.
Yeah.
So Ascending Wisdom began many, many, many years ago. And it was my first website where everything I did went on there. And then through my development, it got a little big, so we needed to divide it into two. So there's Ascending Wisdom, which is all the therapies that I carry out, the types of readings that I do, whether it be soul reading, spiritual reading, whatever. And then the Ascending Wisdom Academy website is all the teaching that I do. So they're sister sites. They are linked by a button on the website, but I needed to, I didn't want to create any separation, but I needed to make it easier for people to navigate through the two websites. So Ascending Wisdom is for therapies, readings, and Ascending Wisdom Academy is for teaching.
Beautiful. And again, for the listeners, I will share every link, and then you just can click and explore it for yourself. Wonderful. So, Nicola, what are your visions for the next years, the ambitions for the next 5 years or so?
That's quite a tough question, because if someone had said to me 5 years ago what I would be doing now, I think I probably screamed and run in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But going forward right now, there's a lot of calling around the world for ICU teachers to be trained. And it seems that wherever I go, there's then the calling for me to do what are called spiritual assessments, guiding people on their spiritual path intuitively, which are very beautiful. They're not prophetic, but to assess somebody where they're at spiritually and maybe what they could do to enhance this is quite big right now. The coming year is all about self-responsibility. So not only as teachers and guides and all the things that we do, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, but also inspire others to take responsibility. Because if we can be more responsible throughout this year for our own development, our own self-healing, then by the end of the year, what guidance tells me is that we're going to be moving into a space of freedom, which is really quite profound. So in my world right now, I'm planning to visit various countries to train teachers for ICU Academy, and to roll out a new healing modality that I created over a period of 2 years, which is having quite profound effects on people, and to maintain an equilibrium in my own life whereby I can continue to create, I can continue to expand in myself, but inspire others. Because as you know, Nico, we're not teachers, we're not healers. We're inspirers and we're facilitators. There's nothing I can teach anybody that they don't already know. I'm just enabling them to remember, to align with what they know. And as a healer, my role is to facilitate this for people to self-heal, because we don't heal people. We give them the love, the time, the space to understand who they are in order for them to recognize what the cause is of their physical, mental, or emotional challenge. When they realize the cause, they have the ability to self-heal. So my world right now is full of creation. It's full of teaching. It's full of facilitating and inspiration. How that's going to manifest in the next year, the next 5 years, that's up to consciousness. I can be an open channel and I can be in service to humanity. Where it leads me, I'll tell you when it happens.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that comes back to the part where you say you need to be listening, observing, because then only you can react to the universe and remain spontaneous and open to whatever comes. Yeah, and Nicola, I feel grateful for the conversation. I truly admire your work. I wish you good luck with everything you do. So many different projects, and thank you for this deepening conversation, and all the best to you.
You're very welcome, and thank you, Nico, for giving people like me the opportunity to speak to the world. You know, your gift is very precious, and my heartfelt gratitude goes to you too.
Thank you so much, Nicola. Namaste, and all the best to you. Podcast for your soul, your compass, your journey, your light.